That moment, I suddenly realized, in my children's eyes, the things I've accumulated my whole life are no longer living, but clutter. It was 3 days after my 83rd birthday. My daughter, Linda, stood in the center of my living room, staring at an old wooden cabinet I'd been using for 20 years. She looked at it with the same expression she'd use for trash and said, "Mom, haven't you thrown this junk out yet? Are you keeping it because you're waiting for it to set the house on fire one of these days?" At that instant, I didn't feel wronged. Instead, I felt a chill run down my spine. I looked at her as if she were a creditor liquidating my assets. I knew that in her logic, the house full of my old things had become solid proof that I was senile and unable to take care of myself. My name is Margaret, and I am 83 years old. After that conversation, I made a decision. I didn't consult anyone. That very afternoon, I moved that old cabinet, along with all the junk inside it, piece by piece, to the trash pile downstairs. Linda, Ned, when she saw me, she probably thought I'd lost my mind. But she didn't know that for the first time in 10 years, I felt like the air in my house could actually circulate again. Today, I want to tell you how I rescued myself from that pile of trash. This has nothing to do with minimalism. This was the final act of resistance from an 83-year-old woman fighting not to be packed up and shipped off like a piece of refuse. After Linda left, I refused to give in. I tried 3 methods, wanting to prove to her that I was still capable. The first time, I went to the dollar store and bought a pile of cardboard boxes. I thought, if I pack everything into boxes, won't it be tidy? I spent 3 days sorting every little thing into boxes. The result: the room looked a bit emptier, but I knew all I'd done was move a bunch of useless things from one corner to another. My home had become a storage unit filled with boxes. The second time, I thought, fine, I'll just throw it away. I opened the bathroom cabinet, intending to clear out expired medicine. But I picked up a bottle of lotion my late husband, Richard, had given me 10 years ago. I'd never used it up. But how could I throw it away? Next to it was a radio. That didn't work. But what if I could fix it someday? I agonized over it for ages. And in the end, the only thing that hit the trash can was an empty toothpaste tube. The third time, I called my son, David. He has a very clear head. I asked him what I should do with the box of Richard's tools. He said, "Mom, nobody in the family knows how to use them. Find a scrap collector and sell them." I asked about the set of china my mother-in-law had passed down to me. He said, "Mom, you haven't used those plates in 30 years. Why are you keeping them and taking up space?" He was right about everything, but after hanging up, my heart felt even heavier. I realized that in their eyes, these were just discarded old goods. They couldn't see Richard using those tools to build me a bookshelf, nor could they see the warmth in my mother-in-law's hands when she handed me those plates. They only saw an old woman trapped by her own junk that night, sitting in the dark. I suddenly understood one thing. If I don't take charge, eventually, they will take charge for me. So, the next morning, I walked into that storage room. I pulled out one of Richard's old sweaters. It was navy blue, and the neckline was frayed. My heart constricted. A voice inside me said, "Throwing it away is throwing him away." But this time, a louder voice in my head asked me a different question, a question I had been getting wrong for the last 83 years. I didn't ask, "Does this thing mean something to me?" I asked myself, "Does keeping this make my life today any more comfortable?" The answer was no. It only made me feel wretched looking at it, made my house more crowded, and gave Linda more reason to think I was losing my mind. Richard lives in my heart, not in a sweater. I folded it up and put it in a bag for donation. Then the second, the third. I didn't shed a tear. I just felt a sense of relief I hadn't felt in a long time. I kept going. I got rid of the sewing machine I'd never used. I got rid of the dresses I'd been keeping for someday. That someday was never coming, and I needed to make space for the today me. I got rid of 5 categories of things. Clothes that don't fit. I don't need to live inside a shell from my youth. I'm doing just fine as I am now. Excess kitchenware. 3 pots of the same size. 4 spoons I never use. It didn't make cooking easier. It only made finding things harder. I kept the one I liked best, and the rest went to others. Broken items. Things that didn't work and couldn't be fixed. I'd been keeping them for 10 years, and letting them go felt exhilarating. Books I never read. I only kept the ones I'd actually read and loved. Everything else was just mocking me from the shelf. The treasures I kept for my children. I asked them all, and none of them wanted any of it. I kept a few photos, and the rest were dealt with. When I finished, the house was empty, and it was easy to walk through. My heart felt clear. 2. Linda visited again 2 weeks later. She walked through the house, circled around, and stopped. Finally, she said, "Mom, this place, it looks so tidy." "Yes," I replied. "I did it myself." She was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled a genuine, relaxed smile. She said, "It looks really good. It looks manageable." Manageable. I had passed the test I didn't even know I was taking. From then on, Linda never brought up apartments or support again, because she saw that this house and I were still capable. I proved something to her and to myself. I am still the master of my own life. So, if you feel like life is getting heavier and more congested, don't blame your age. And don't blame your children for not being considerate. Take a look for yourself. Are you holding on to past things that should have been in the trash years ago, treating them like family heirlooms? Remember, if your life is filled with clutter, others will naturally assume that your life is no longer worth preserving. From today on, don't wait for others to clear it out for you. Take charge yourself. After all, we lived our whole lives not to become the caretakers of dead objects.